It is March 31st, which means it is Weekly Reads, episode 13. I'm going to go over the books I have started. If you watched last week's, you would have seen some of this, but I'm going to just quickly go over them so that we are aware where we are starting, because I always have so many books going at one time. They are typically very different. Y'all, these are very different. I looked at all of them. Yeah, so we'll just say where we're starting, and then I will try and vlog throughout the week, kind of give you updates. I'm hoping every day, but it doesn't always work out. The first book is Mirror Mirror by Calonita. This is a Twisted Tales book. I am 83% of the way done, so I should be done with it today. It's a Snow White reimagining retelling where the evil queen doesn't poison Snow White, but the prince. But something that's unique to this versus the Snow White movie is we're getting a backstory on the evil queen. We switch perspectives between Snow White and the evil queen, which is giving some more depth to her and figuring out why she has this mirror and what made her turn to the evil queen that we know her as. She is Snow White's aunt in this book. And for some reason, I didn't think that was the case in the movie, but I could be wrong. That's the first book. The second book I have started is Revved to the Max by Melanie Moreland. This is the first book in the Reynolds Restoration series. I read one book in the series a year and a half ago. And so I'm really working on finishing up series. So I started this book because I was bored in another book we'll talk about in a second. I'm only 25% of the way through, but so far we've met Max. He owns a car shop, needed some help, sent out a Craigslist ad. Charlie ends up responding. They correspond over like Messenger or something like that. And he agrees to let Charlie come. I'm at the part of the book where Charlie and Max have met for the first time, but this is a dual point of view. So while we're getting Max's point of view, we know Charlie is actually Charlin and is a spunky redhead girl in a really bad situation. She needs to get out of her current place and find a job. And this is the perfect position for her because it also includes board. So when Max is talking to her, she realizes that he doesn't know that she's a woman and she doesn't correct him. The two of them have just met and Max is a little bit taken aback by Charlie. The third book is Jesus, the One and Only by Beth Moore. This is the book that I'll read a chapter or two during my Bible time in the morning. I am, I believe, 3 or 4% of the way done. I just started this. I'm on chapter 2. But yeah, we'll see how much it progressed throughout the week. The fifth book I'm in the middle of is Datings and Dragons by Kristy Boyce. I should finish this one today. It is the second book in the Dungeons and Drama series. It is a young adult romance. These are standalone books. I haven't seen a connection yet. I thought at one point we would, but I just didn't. Maybe I missed it. If there's a connection between Dungeons and Drama and Datings and Dragons, let me know. They're both about high schoolers playing Dungeons and Dragons. But anyways, I'm 80% of the way through this. So I think I'm going to save my recap of this book until tomorrow when I have finished it. Just because I'll finish it really soon. But it's about teenagers playing Dungeons and Dragons and a newcomer queen. The fifth book I have started is Beyond the Shadows by Brent Weeks. This is the third book in the Night Angel series. I like this series. I'm just not super invested in it. And so I was reading it and I got a little bit bored, which is how I got to Revved to Max. My goal has been to read 10% each day. This is a 700-page book, so that is quite a bit of pages each day. So it hasn't always worked out that way. I am 74% of the way done, so I'm hoping this week we'll have it done. Again, I'm liking it. I'm happy with doing it in little chunks, but it's not a book I want to binge, at least at this point in the story. I think it's fine. The other two books that I have started are a gratitude journal that I write in a little bit each day. It has 365 prompts, so obviously it's going to take me all year long if I just do one a day. I know I've missed some dates, so we're going to probably take that one into 2026. The other one is the Bible. I have a plan that if I listen to it every single day or make up the dates that I miss, I will have it finished by the end of the year. But that is my week 13 update. Editing Annalise realized that there are two books that I didn't ever review, but I finished during this weekly reads. So the first one was Mirror Mirror by Calonita. I finished this on the Monday, the 31st. So that's probably why I didn't think to review it. I talked briefly about it. It is the sixth book in the Twisted Tales series, but they're very much standalone books. What connects them is they are Disney retellings where there is a twist. So in this book, it is Snow White, and we get Snow White's point of view, but we also get the evil queen Logan's point of view, and we go back in her history and see how she came to be the evil queen and kind of how the mirror plays a huge role in that transformation. And the twist in this book is that the prince is poisoned and not Snow White at the end of the book, but there are so many other things that are just slightly different than the movie. The animals are not a huge part of it, which is a little bit sad, but I think the dual point of view with Snow White and the evil queen and kind of giving her a name and a backstory really made up for it. I listened to this book on audiobook and I gave it 3.75 stars. It is April 2nd, which is Wednesday, and so I need to update you on my weekly reads. Monday and Tuesday have been really crazy. We've been doing a lot of things, and so while I did finish 2 books, I didn't do a lot of other reading. So I'm going to share with you the 2 books that I finished, and then I will share the progress on the other books. So the first book I finished was Datings and Dragons by Kristy Boyce. This is the second book in the Dungeons and Drama series. They are not connected. They are both young adult romances that center around Dungeons and Dragons. In this book, we meet Quinn. She is transferring to her school in February. Her grandma takes her the first day and wants a picture. This boy named Logan takes the picture, and Quinn ends up becoming friends with Logan and his friends. They all play Dungeons and Dragons. She played Dungeons and Dragons with her old friends. Her old friend group kind of imploded because they're high schoolers. To be honest, we do find out the reason, but it was very high school, which is what it is. And then the Dungeons Dragon group she's in now has a strict no dating policy. And so you can tell right off that Logan either hates her or likes her, and she just assumes Logan hates her. Her grandma ends up being very involved in her and Logan's relationship and always trying to push them together in asking them to clean the attic and play pickleball, and so they get themselves in some funny situations. I thought this was such a fun young adult romance. I ended up giving this book 4.5 stars, and I did finish this book yesterday on the 1st. The book I finished this morning was Beyond the Shadows by Brent Weeks. This is the 3rd book in the Night Angel trilogy. There is a series after this, but I did not love this series enough to start a whole new series. I liked it enough to finish the series, but I am happy with where they ended. I don't care about the characters enough to read more of their story because we are following the characters after the aftermath of this 3rd book. On top of that, I really liked the characters and like the setup of the story, but the actual I don't know if it's execution or the writing or something, I just didn't like. I don't think I am a Brent Weeks person, and that's okay. That trilogy is done. I'm very excited to have another series marked off my list, which means I finished 2 series in the first 2 days of April, which is amazing. If you want to know how many series I'm in the middle of, please let me know. It is a very astronomical number. So let's jump into the books that I'm currently reading. So the Bible and the Gratitude Journal are ones that are just going to consistently be on my currently reading for the rest of the year. I've talked about this so many times, but I have worked on them both Monday and Tuesday. So the 3rd one I'm in the middle of is Jesus by Beth Moore. I am now on chapter 8, which is page 44, which is about 14% done. I'm just reading this during my quiet time, so I'm not trying to work through it quickly, but just read 1 to 3 chapters every day. The 4th book that I've started is Revved to the Max by Melanie Moreland. I was 26% done on Monday. I am at 26% done today. I have not read that book since I chatted with you. That will be my next ebook. Since I started, I like to just finish it before I start another romance, because the ebook that's due next on my library is a romance, so I want to finish Revved to the Max and then start this other romance. So Revved to the Max I'll be focusing on. I don't think it'll take me too long to finish up. We'll just see how much time I actually have to read. The book I don't think I've chatted about is my audiobook, and it is Somewhere Safe with Someone Good by Karon. We are again following Tim Kavanaugh. He is back in Mitford. Thank the Lord, because the last book I read in this series, he was in Ireland. There are some series that I could go audiobook, ebook, I don't care. This one is definitely much better in the audiobook form because it's just a slice of life. I can be listening to it and like doing the dishes or whatever, and it just feels like someone's telling me a story, and it's not super high stakes, but like they're giving me some gossip. I just really like that slice of life in audiobook form. And on top of that, these books are really long. I am 52% of the way done. However, this is an over 500 page book, so it's going to take me a second to actually finish listening to this. Those are the books that I'm currently reading. I will check in with you when I have a reading update. I got to page 30 in The Liar's Knot by M.A. Carrick. This is a hefty book at 630 pages, so that would take me 21 days to finish if I just read 30 pages a day. My goal in this book is to read 60 pages, but I want to give myself a little bit of leeway the first day. I'm also trying to catch up on like YouTube videos, so I have a lot more to like film and edit than I would normally, hopefully, because I'm behind and I'm trying to get like caught up. Yes, I got to page 30. This is a heavy fantasy book. I feel like you really have to be in it. And I don't know how that's going to work since physical books I typically read in the morning when my kids are up and around. So we'll see how this goes. I might end up reading this in the evening instead. But Revved to the max, I really want to get finished. And I fell asleep super early last night and did not read but like 4 pages of it. Did wake up a little bit earlier today because I went to bed early and read I think like 10-15 pages, not a lot, because my kids were up. So anywho, this is where we're at on my reading. Sorry if the reading clip was a little bit choppy. My youngest is home and was asking me some questions. So anywho, editing Annalise here again. I finished Somewhere Safe with Someone Good by Karon. This is the 12th book in the Mitford Year series. I finished this on the 3rd, which was Thursday. The previous book in this series I did not like at all, and so I was a little wary jumping into this book. However, Father Tim, our male main character, Cynthia, his wife, are back in Mitford, which these books are just small town gossip, and I love it, just slice of life. And so in this book, Father Tim is asked to fill in for a priest in a transitional period because he is retired. He doesn't act like he's retired, but he's retired. However, he does reject that and instead agrees to help with a bookshop, which was a really fun way to see all the people in Mitford and get a different take on them. This bookstore is struggling, and so while people are in there, he's trying to get them to buy books, but also help out in the store. And so I thought this was a really fun way to go back to Mitford and do something a little bit different than Father Tim has done in the past. I listened to this on audiobook. I ended up giving this book 3.75 stars. It is a gloomy Friday night, so I thought I would update you on my reading. I am not going to be wearing my glasses because of the glare. So let's jump into the books that I'm currently reading. The first one is one I don't think that I've talked about, and it is Barbarians Rescue by Ruby Dixon. It is book 14 in the Ice Planet Barbarians series. I'm going to finish this series this year. But this is Warwick and Summer's book, and slave traders came back to their planet and started rounding up some of their friends, and so the two of them kind of had to work together to fix that situation, and then the tribe is now trying to figure out what's going to happen next. The romance is definitely there, and with it being a dual point of view, I absolutely love seeing their different thoughts because they're in the same chapter with different pages, and so that's been really fun. I will say this book feels a little bit different than the other ones. There's a couple other ones like this book where the plot seems like the main focus and the romance secondary. The romance is still doing what romances need to do, but I feel like the plot is really driving the force instead of the romance, which I'm fine with. It's just a little bit different than typical in these Ice Planet Barbarian books. That is the first book that I'm in the middle of. They're not very long, and so it doesn't take me long to listen to. The second book is The Liar's Knot by M.A. Carrick. This is the second book in the Rook and Rose series. I have not read this book since the last clip you saw, and I got to page 30, so I really need to spend some time making progress in this book because I liked what I read, but I couldn't get fully into it. So I think this might be a night book. I don't know. I don't love reading physical books at night because I feel like my hands get tired and all the things. So we'll see. I might read a little bit of this tonight, but I have another book I want to finish, and I'm not sure how much reading I'm going to get done tonight anyways. My husband and I found a show we like, and we've been watching that, which we don't typically watch a lot of TVs. That's been taking precedence, and I haven't finished as many books as I typically would. The third book I'm in the middle of is Revved to the Max by Melanie Moreland. This is the first book in the Reynolds Restoration series. This is the book I want to finish because I am 69% of the way done. I'm on page 203, and I think there's like 315 pages. So it shouldn't be hard to finish. But like I said, the TV show's been taking precedence. We'll see. This book is about Max, and he needs help. He hires Charlie. He thinks Charlie is a boy. Charlie is a girl, very fiery redhead. She comes in, has all of these thoughts and ideas to help him, and is really pushing him out of his comfort zone. A neighbor befriends Charlie and is like a second mom to Max. And so she's making comments about how they have very similar struggles and issues with trust, and that's slowly coming out. I will say this book, this man has no patience in any area of his life. He's known to be grumpy, but also when he feels like he's attracted to her, he has no patience. So there's not very much yearning. They act on their yearnings, but then they go back to like, we shouldn't do this. And so I'm not loving that part about it. It is dual point of view, which I absolutely love in romance books. So I do like that. The last 3 books are books that I've talked about. One is Jesus, the One, the Only. It is a Beth Moore book and a book that I read typically with my quiet time the last couple days, and I feel like even next week my life is a little bit crazy. We're selling and building and transferring to school districts. There's all kinds of things going on that I'm trying to get ready for and that are currently happening. So, which is why we're in a rental, but my goal is to read 1 to 2 chapters every day. It can be hard, but I 100% forget about it. I have made progress. I am 15% of the way done, but I could be a lot further. The last 2 is my gratitude journal and the Bible. I grabbed the gratitude journal because I don't think I've ever actually showed it to you, but it just has prompts and you write in it each day. There's 365. I've missed some days, so this will definitely be taking me into 2026. And then the Bible, I'm doing a reading plan that I should finish at the end of the year as long as I stay on track. There are a few days I haven't listened, but I've caught up the next day. I am still on track to finishing by the end of the year. Those are the books I have started and are in the middle of currently. I'm hoping to update you throughout the weekend, but the weekends just fly, and we have lots of things to do this weekend. We'll see how my reading goes. It is Monday the 7th, so let's go over the books I finished over the weekend because I finished 2. I really thought I finished these last week. We've already chatted about them, but I finished 2 on Saturday, so we're gonna talk about those, and then we're gonna talk about the books that I'm currently reading to finish off this week 13 reading vlog. The first book I finished on Saturday was Revved to the Max by Melanie Moreland. I feel like I've given you enough of a synopsis. We have Max and Charlie. Max thinks Charlie is a man when she accepts the job. Charlie knows that, but really needs the job, and so comes. They do meet the night prior, not realizing who each other is, and so there's already some instant lust, and I feel like that continued for most of the book. This man has no patience. I guess I should say there's no physical patience. There's definitely some emotional patience because they both have a lot to work through, especially Max. He's someone that kind of takes what he wants, and Charlie is so desperate for affection. She lets it happen. And so I will say, if this was the first book in the series that I had read, I don't know if I would continue. I think it's either the 3rd or 4th book, and while it was definitely still spicy, the dynamic was a little bit better. I just thought this dynamic was really weird and I didn't love it. I did end up giving that book 3 stars. The second book I finished was Barbarians Redemption. This is the 14th book in the Ice Planet Barbarians series by Dixon. We are following Warwick and Summer. Warwick is an alien, Summer is a human woman. An alien ship that ends up not being so great lands on their planet. They have to stage a rescue, and then they have to figure out what they're going to do with the people that are in the pods on this alien ship. The first part of this book is very plot heavy, but you're building their relationship, like you're seeing how they work together and things like that. This second part of the book is very much relationship heavy and a little less plot, which was definitely okay. I liked how we built their like friendship relationship at the first part of the book, and then we jumped into like the more spicy full-on relationship in the second part. And I ended up giving that book 3.75 stars, but rounding it up to 4 stars for Goodreads. Now let's go over the 6 books that I currently have going. 2 of them are the ones that you've heard and we'll continue here about, which is the Bible and the Gratitude Journal. I just continue to work through them little bits at a time. It's gonna take me all year or past the year. So those are 2 of the 4 books. The 3rd book is one that I read during my Bible time. I definitely forgot quite a bit last week and I made it to 18%. I'm hoping to make it a little bit further next week. I think this is a perfect time to read this book with Easter coming up. The 4th book is the physical book I'm reading, and it is The Liar's Knot by M.A. Carrick. I only got to page 52 in this book, and it is a 600-page book, so I have quite a lot. I'm not loving it right now, but I'm not disliking it. I'm just trying to, I think, get back into the story and remember all the characters. We'll see how the book progresses, but my goal is to read 30 to 60 pages each day. We just have a lot going on in my life right now, and so I don't know if 60 pages is realistic. The problem is I need to get up a little bit earlier, but I'm having a rough time doing that right now. So we will see how the progress goes next week. I made it to 7% in this book. Book 5 is Unbroken Cowboy. I am on page 123, which is 36% of the way done. This is a cowboy romance by Maisey Yates. It is the 5th book in the Gold Valley series. In this book, we meet Beatrix. She loves animals. She is from a rich family, and her brother Damien married Lacey, and they are since divorced. Damien was not a good guy, but Damien and B, the siblings, aren't really close, and so B stayed really close with Lacey. Lacey has a brother named Dane. Dane is our main character, and he's in the rodeo. However, he got really hurt, and so his goal is to get back to the rodeo, but he is in Gold Valley kind of recuperating and rehabbing and trying to get back. No one really thinks he should, but here we are. B and Dane definitely know each other. B has had a crush on Dane for a very long time, and Dane has never seen her like that. We are in the point of the book where he has noticed her, so we'll see where the story takes us. B did give Dane a dog. That was book 5. The 6th and final book is the 3rd book in the Outlander series, which I did start watching the TV series because we got Netflix. So I'm only on the 1st season, like episode in or so. Why not add that into my no time life? But I'm listening to the 3rd book, Voyager, and I'm about 25% of the way through. This is a series you have to read in order, but in this book, Claire thinks that Jamie has passed. She finds out that he has not. There's a child involved. That's the synopsis I'm going to give you thus far on that book. That is the 6th and final book that I'm currently in the middle of. I feel like every week I'm like, I'm not in the middle of very many, and then I sit down and there's 6 of them. So let me know if you've read any of these books and your thoughts on them, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye!